One of the most common questions we're asked by property owners is, should they rent their place furnished? This typically comes from an owner of a condominium or a house who wants to convert their former residence or second home into a rental property. However, sometimes it's someone just trying to come up with a way to get a few extra dollars of rent out of a currently unfurnished home. Either way, it's a good question. As usual, the answer is, it depends. Here we will lay out the pros and cons of renting a furnished home, what is included in a furnished rental, tips on appropriate furnishings, and what types of scenarios will most likely be successful. Pros and cons of a furnished rental. Before you decide on renting your home furnished, you need to consider the pros and cons. The pros of a furnished rental. Consider the following benefits of renting out a furnished property. 1. More rent. It is sometimes possible to achieve higher rent from a furnished home than a vacant one. 2. Shows better. A furnished home can show better than a vacant property. It's almost like a staged home. 3. No moving or storing furniture. If you're leasing a home with pre-existing furniture, you don't have to worry about moving or storing or disposing of it. 4. Easier if you come back. If you rent your home furnished and you want to come back, you can always do so without having to move everything all over again. The cons of a furnished rental. Now consider the following downside of renting out a furnished property. 1. Harder to rent. Most people looking to rent a home have their own furniture. With less people looking, furnished homes usually take longer to rent. 2. Shorter occupancy. Most people leasing furnished homes don't stay as long. It's easier for them to leave since they have less to move. Long-term tenants will bring their own belongings for a longer stay. 3. Matter of taste. Prospective tenants might like the home, but not the furniture. 4. Furnishings are personal. Many people don't want beds and couches other people have used. 5. Risk of damage. When you lease out a furnished home, you run the risk that the furniture will be damaged or even turn up missing. The security deposit is often not enough to cover everything. 6. Wear and tear. Even when there's no chargeable damage, you need to understand that your furniture will suffer normal wear and tear. It will eventually need to be replaced. 7. More work. Managing a furnished home takes more work. You need to think of it as renting two things. You are renting a home and you're renting furnishings. The furnishings require extra documentation and extra responsibility. What does a furnished rental property include? Many furnished rentals come with just basic furniture, while some owners choose to provide items such as towels, bedding, dishes, pots and pans, and silverware. Other items often included are decorative touches such as paintings, mirrors, and other things that make it more inviting. You can also include a washer and dryer combo. At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide what to include in your furnished rental. Tips on appropriate furnishings for your rental home. If you're going to lease your home furnished, it's important that you have appropriate furnishings. Here are some general tips to help your chances for success. 1. Avoid using older, more lived-in furnishings. This turns prospective tenants off, significantly increasing your vacancy time and reducing rent you receive. 2. Don't use very valuable furnishings that are too high-end or have sentimental value. This can be a disaster. Remember, people will be living there and things can go wrong. 3, go for that Goldilocks level and be very mindful of the space. Remember, less is more. The home should almost seem like a nice hotel. Think of an Airbnb or vacation rental set. Pro tip, when advertising your rental property, make sure and highlight how it is furnished. Furnished rentals require extra measures. You will need to document the entire inventory and the condition of all items included. An itemized list by room along with photos is a great way to do this. You also need to be clear if you plan to charge for each missing knife and fork. Yes, it can be a tedious task, but preparing ahead of time will save you headaches in the long run. You need to be aware that items included in the lease are expected to last through the term of the rental. Therefore, items may need to be repaired or replaced if they wear out or break. For example, if you rent a home with a television that quits working at no fault of the tenant, then it will be up to you to have it fixed or replaced. Likely situations, making it a good or bad idea to rent furnished. Although there's not one right or wrong answer for everyone, there are some overall guidelines that indicate if it's a good idea for you to rent your home furnished or not. 1, going from an Airbnb type short-term rental, less than 30 days, to a midterm, over 30 days, or even a long-term, yearly, might make sense. These properties are often set up correctly. The owner is accustomed to management-intensive landlording, and the investment has already been made. 2, converting a second home or vacation property to a furnished rental can be a good fit for a furnished rental if you have the right furnishings. 3, furnishing a vacant property solely to get extra rental income is usually not worth the trouble and expense. If the motivation is to help cover the monthly expenses, spending more to furnish in order to get more rent is probably throwing good money after bad. 4, leasing a home furnished as a way to avoid moving and storing furniture is also usually a bad idea. The furniture usually makes your home harder to rent. The sooner you accept this fact and empty out the home, the sooner you can get it rented to a quality long-term tenant. And 5, leaving a few pieces of furniture can be okay. You just need to understand you will most likely need to get rid of what you left behind, and if your new tenant wants to move in soon, you may have to rush. Seek professional advice. Renting out a furnished property can be very tricky, and there is even more involved than a vacant rental. You may want to consider talking to a professional property manager who can advise you. A property manager can help you with pricing, what furnishings to include, the extra documentation involved, and even if it's something best for your specific situation. Bottom line, renting out a furnished property has many pros and cons. You might be able to get more rent. It may show better. You don't have to move or store furniture, and it's easier to move back. Unfortunately, it's generally harder to rent. There's usually a shorter occupancy time, more risk of damage, more wear and tear, and more work's involved. Some owners include more furnishings than others, but you will want to avoid using worn, very valuable, or particularly sentimental furnishings that cannot be replaced. Furnished rentals should remind you of a nice hotel room. A furnished rental will require extra documentation and may require replacements of items during the lease. You may do well converting a short-term rental into a longer-term furnished rental. Vacation and second homes often make good candidates too. However, furnishing a vacant home hoping for the extra cash flow or leasing furnished just to avoid the hassle and expense of moving is usually not the best choice. Of course, you could benefit from consulting with a professional property manager to help guide you. Now that you understand the benefits and drawbacks of renting out a furnished property, you can decide if it's the right choice for you. If you need help managing your Long Beach, Los Angeles, or Orange County rental properties, please contact the Mike Dunphy Group for a free, no obligation consultation. We're happy to help. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to share, like, and see you next time.